Tony D and Little Joan, and this is a screenwriter's rant on Griffin in Summer, a movie about a little guy who wants to produce plays, and it's sort of a coming of age thing, and he's gay, and he meets the handy kid or the handy man and falls in love with him, but like he can't have him, and at first he puts him in a play, and then he realizes he can't have them. Smash like and subscribe. Thank you for smash liking and subscribing. Check out my books. The links are in the description. Comedy horror in South Jersey. It's the Pineys, books 1 through 18, available at Amazon.com. Don't forget, Kindle Unlimited is free. So Griffin is kind of like obsessed with making plays. And every summer he sits at home, instead of doing fun stuff with his friends, he makes plays. And his mom tries to get him out, but he won't go out. But then she hires a handyman who's a young guy, about, older than Griffin, but not too much older. And Griffin's like in love with him because he's gay. But like it turns out that dude's not. He's an actor, and he's kind of tuned out. But like Griffin cast him in a play because he becomes kind of obsessed with him, then writes a play about him, then recast him in the play, only to find out that he's straight, and then he ends up hooking up with the lead actress that I think Griffin also cast. So it's kind of a coming of age thing where this gay kid realizes stuff about himself. And it's a comedy. It's supposed to be light. It doesn't look awful, but it just kind of looks very narrow. Like, in that there's not a lot of, I don't think there's a lot of theater kids out there. Like, there's a good amount. I mean, I was definitely a kid who spent a lot of time indoors, but I would write, crazy screenplays about monsters and robots. He's writing plays, like relationship-related plays about broken marriages and drinking and stuff like that. And he's sort of, his only social interaction is to cast his friends in his little plays and whatnot. So, I don't think there's a lot of those kids out there. I guess there are some. But, to some extent, I relate to the character a little bit, because he is a writer. But, yeah, I mean, it looks fine. It looks mostly harmless. He has a crush on this older boy, but, he's straight and doesn't even see him that way at all. So, first act, he's wacky kid who does plays all the time. His mother's trying to get him out of the house. He's weak and kind of effeminate, doesn't really do outdoor stuff. Second act, he's casting his new play, or working on his new play, and the mother hires this older kid, and he sort of is attracted to him, but kind of can't admit it to himself at first. Then he ends up talking to him and kind of gets into him. They start to bond, and it turns out the older kid really wants to raise the money to go back to New York so he could continue his weird performance artist career. So they're both artists, and they kind of bond over that. And then he starts working stuff about the older kid in his play, and then that causes him to cast the older kid in his play, ignoring some of his friends. And then the older kid ends up hooking up with one of the actresses in his play, which he can't do anything about because he never made a move. He didn't know what to do. And he's sort of just hovering on the edges of things, pining for this guy that he can't have. And then that shapes his worldview, and then it starts to shape the way he's writing about love in his plays as this dark thing that never works out for him. Sometime in the third act, though, I suspect there's a hopeful turn at the end where he meets somebody who's more his age and more his, league, let's say, and then it's all good, maybe something like that. So would I see this movie? Probably not. I don't know. I'd have to hear that it was funny. It doesn't look that funny. Like, if they had turned up the comedy to 11, I'd be on board. But it seems like it's just sort of light, airy, kind of sort of grounded in the reality, probably, of the people who wrote this. And so mild laughs, probably not enough to draw me in to actually watch the damn thing. Let's check the write-up in the IMDb. Griffin in summer. 14-year-old Griffin Nafley is the most ambitious playwright of his generation, but once he meets handsome 25-year-old handyman Brad, his life and play will never be the same. Nicholas Colea is the writer and director. Melanie Linsky is in it. She was in 2.5 Men. She was the crazy stalker of Charlie Sheen. So it looks fine. Back in the day, it probably would have been an art house movie. This is probably going right to streaming for its niche audience. Anyhow, that's it for me, Tony D, and Little Joan somewhere behind me. Thanks for tuning in today. I'll be in Collingswood from 4 to 8 on Haddon Ave for the big second Saturday market. So come out to that. And don't forget the live stream tomorrow at 7 where we do it live. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you